there's been so much backlash and there's been so many cases of smart glasses being used in a bad way and like filming people without their consent, that I feel like their reputation has got so bad that they almost can't reach mass adoption.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Rosie. If you're new here, then hello, welcome, settle down. And if you're returning, hey, what's up? Each episode we're joined on the podcast by someone whose interest, hobbies or work has led them down a fascinating rabbit hole. And this week I think it's going to be extra juicy. Before we get into it, you guys, I had to share, for any Housewives fans, guess who I saw in concert last week? I saw none other than the pretty mess, Erika Jayne. And unfortunately, she was kind of bad. Her calling is not being a DJ. It was still cool to see her. And also, Sutton Strack was in the room. So I can now say I was in a room with Sutton Strack and Erika Jayne. Andy Cohen, please can I have my diamond now? I'm ready to be on Housewives. But I substantially digress. This week we're going to be kind of piggybacking off last week's episode, and we're going to be talking about fashion and surveillance culture, but getting a little bit more into the interconnections between the fashion industry and tech and how they're kind of growing to be one and the same. And we are going to be joined by none other than Grace Robinson. She is a fashion technology journalist, so I thought of no one better. We went to CSM together. She's wonderful. She has a podcast and Substack called What is Fashion Technology? So she really is the girl to talk to if you're interested in fashion and tech, or fashion and retro tech, as we'll be kind of getting into a little bit more today. And my favourite part of the conversation is the pipeline from iPod hair clips and wired headphones through to Meta glasses, and how that kind of paved the way for Meta to sell the glasses as a fashion statement rather than just surveillance. So you guys are going to really love this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review. Otherwise, enjoy. Hello and welcome, Grace, or the host of What is Fashion Technology. I thought she'd be a perfect guest to talk a little bit through the pipeline of like iPods in hair to Meta glasses. But first, how are you, Grace?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be on this and to be talking to you about this. I think it's going to be such a cool conversation, so I'm very excited.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is fashion technology?
Yeah, I'll give you a kind of short answer, or like as much of a short answer as I can in terms of what it is and why I created it. I actually came up with the concepts in 2020, so 6 years ago. And it's because at the time I was working for Nike, and also I was studying fashion technology in Leeds for my BA. And because it was COVID, I was studying and also working because we could work from home. And my course kind of shifted from just thinking about materials and construction to thinking about digital fashion and like how that was going to change the fashion industry. And then coincidentally, at the same time, I got a new job at Nike that was all about bringing digital innovation into the showroom experience, which is so niche. But I was personally so interested in it. But then so many people would be like, oh, what is fashion technology? Like when I would say I would study it, or when I also explained what I did for a job at Nike. And because I am actually so dyslexic, I wanted to read about like different fashion technology things, but there was not a lot of like written content in a digestible way about it. So I thought, how cool to do a podcast on it. So I started a podcast in 2020 that was called What's Fashion Technology. And at that time, it was really focused on digital fashion. And like, because in 2020, that was all when the metaverse was going on and like everything was remote. So digital fashion was a big thing. So I would just speak to people who had startups in the digital fashion space. And I did that for like 2 years, which is so crazy, but it only ever lived as a podcast. And then because I was doing the podcast and because I wanted to leave my job at Nike and move to London, I applied to a master's at CSM, which is where we obviously met. And my aim going to CSM was to just do the podcast for the year and like try and grow it. But then when I got to CSM, I got so distracted by everything. and I really wanted to go into more like conventional fashion stuff. So it kind of evolved into more mainstream fashion topics. But then more recently, I've refocused back on fashion technology as my niche. And now it's a Substack, it's an Instagram, and it's a YouTube and my podcast. So it's a bit more of a 360 content brand, I suppose, but the concept is the same. Like, I just talk about fashion technology stuff. So that's kind of my brand and what I'm doing. In terms of like what fashion technology actually is, it's such a broad thing in a way because it covers so many different aspects of the fashion industry. So on one side, it's like the design tools and the way you think about product creation. So like a big brand, if they're producing products, they'll obviously use like CAD software, or they'll use like Clo3D, which is a digital sampling software, which is actually what Nike used to create digital samples. But then it's also, in just the general manufacturing of clothing. So if you think of a big factory, it could be a big machine that mass produce clothes. Or it could also be like topics around new innovative materials. So like mushroom leathers or banana leathers. I'm sure you've seen stuff like that. That's also fashion technology. But or it can also be like speculative, futuristic stuff. So like thinking about in 100 years, will we all be walking around in like morph suits and AI smart glasses and stuff like that? So that's my definition of what it is. But does that make sense to you? Does that
sense. That makes sense. I think the parts of it that I'm most interested in from what you've listed is like the idea, like, are we going to be walking around in morph suits and meta glasses? And then also like the actual tech, what's the word? Like tech merging with fashion, even from just like Jeff Bezos and like all of those billionaires being at fashion events, and how that is sort of, because I guess it's not tech as in technical, but they are like the flagships of the tech industry. So it's interesting seeing them integrate into fashion. So I think that's the part of fashion technology that I'm excited to talk about today.
So crazy, because this is like kind of the newest part of it. Like, it's been like tech bros in a way, and tech brands have been slowly like creeping into fashion, but now it feels like it's accelerating so much with the smart glasses, which I know we're going to get into. So I think it's such a relevant topic to be talking about.
Do you think it's positive, the shift to more tech in fashion, or like, I guess, more like digital technology in fashion?
I think there's two ways to look at it. On one side, like, obviously we both went to CSM, and like in a way now both work in fashion media and could have gone into a traditional fashion media role after CSM if we could / wanted to. And I think because of the way like the fashion media landscape is, it's really struggling at the moment. Like, I'm sure everyone will know, like if you just take Vogue as like the most obvious example, in the past they were like this really strong brand, had all the authority in fashion. Now it's changed so much because of social media, and like they just don't have that same authority in terms of trends, and people don't really need Vogue in the same way they once did. And because of that, they really need money, basically. So they've had to change the way they operate and really go into like events and like do different things like Vogue World in order to get money. So in that way, the fact that Anna Wintour has decided to make relationships with tech like Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, like now they're a sponsor of the Met Gala. I'm sure they also helped with Vogue World or something like that. Like, bringing them into fashion is a good thing in a way if you think about how we can save like fashion media, because, or like legacy fashion media, because they need the money. And in my opinion, like, tech obviously has the most money, so if they're willing to give it, that's a way to keep these fashion publications alive. So from that perspective, I get why Anna Wintour would do that, and I get why it's a good thing. But then on the flip side, and probably the more like relatable side, and what more people will agree with, and what deep down I agree with as well, it's also not a good thing, because the whole point of fashion is that it was meant to be this almost closed, exclusive industry for people who really were interested in it. And it's kind of like the opposite of what tech represents and also what tech bros represent. Because if you think about like Mark Zuckerberg going to the Prada show or like different fashion shows, he's obviously not into fashion. He's not creative in a fashion way. He's creative, obviously, in a tech way, but not in a fashion way. And I think like them coming into it sort of just like, I don't know, I think a lot of people feel like it's diluting something about the magic of fashion. And also it's just bringing in all of the bad aspects of tech, like capitalism, surveillance, which I think we'll get into as well, and all of those negative connotations, like the anti-sustainability mindset that it brings in. So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, depending how you look at it. But do you kind of have do you have thoughts about whether you like it or not, or are you just kind of impartial at this point?
I don't like it. I'm like open to having my mind changed. I don't like it just based on the fact that I think there's too much of a power imbalance between like the fashion industry, like, or like, as you said, like legacy media kind of collapsing, and then they're not powerful enough to be on a level playing field with these like tech billionaires. So instead they're like latching onto them and like doing whatever they want. And I think that that's bad. I think it could be fine if they like work together and it was like a nice coexistence. But I think like the lack of even power is really concerning. And I mean, even just like Lauren Bezos Sanchez, is that what she's called? Being on the cover of Vogue, the digital one, I was just like, what? Who wants that? I know. Like, and when it comes to like magazines being for sale like that, I think that's really scary, because that also changes the legitimacy of what they're saying, and also like whether we can trust what they're saying. Because then it comes down to things like, oh, are they going to peddle that this specific thing is fashionable to then push sales to Amazon? To like, it changes the integrity, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is literally like Vogue is selling out in a way, and like any kind of big publication is selling out by allowing these huge tech billionaires to buy their way into fashion, even though like from a business point of view, like it makes sense why they would and have to. Like it dilutes like what it's meant to be about so much that it kind of defeats the point, and it makes anyone who really enjoyed Vogue or who really enjoyed the Met Gala from like a creativity fashion point of view, it just ruins that authenticity. And it is, like you say, it's like scary that people can buy their way into it. It's crazy.
But then I guess the thing is, probably people were buying their way into it this whole time. It's maybe just that was so obvious, because I do think that at least I'm way too trusting in terms of like, I'm like, it's fashion, like they're not going to have like a really strong like political perspective, and obviously they are, and I feel like more and more we're seeing that. But yeah, I do think it is scary. Oh my god, what do you think about the fact that the Met Gala theme is Galliano?
Again, that's another example of a designer that it's like on one side it's so authentic, but then on the other side there's so many examples of him like selling out and being controversial for obvious reasons. So I don't know. I think it's just an example of Anna Wintour like still having so much authority and like doing whatever she wants. But to be honest, I need to like read more about it.
Yeah, I think that like Anna Wintour needs to like take a step back. Like
no, same. Even though I'm not like anti Anna Wintour, like I know a lot of people are in fashion. Like I still kind of respect her, like I respect what she's achieved, but I think with anything, like there's a time to like pass on the baton and like give Chloe Mal a bit more, just give her the full control and like let it go into this new era before she does so much damage. Like I feel it gets to a point when people then start making the wrong decision, and I feel like we can already see it starting to happen, a bit like with this Met Gala theme, a bit like with like Jeff Bezos sponsoring the Met Gala, like it's already creeping in. So I feel like she just needs to step away.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like, I could understand how difficult it would be to build something like, I think she did, do loads for Vogue and then have to step away from it. And also like, what do you do with all your free time? Like, can you imagine?
Especially someone like that. Like I can imagine she's just feels she's got so much to give, but maybe she can just do kind of like charity work within fashion or like mentoring. I feel like that would be a better use of her time right now.
I agree. So circling back, I feel like we have to like immediately discuss the Meta glasses and like Kylie Jenner modeling them. I'd love to know like what your perspective is on the glasses as a whole. Like, are you going to rock Meta glasses?
Well, it's so funny because when Gentle Monster brought out their, or like announced their Google glasses, at first I thought, oh, it's really cool because I can't remember exactly when it was. It was a few months ago. But at this point, Meta glasses, like the whole discourse and news around them, hadn't blown up as much as it has right now. So I'm obviously a fan of like Gentle Monster. And I just thought, oh, that's so cool. I wasn't really thinking about like the surveillance concerns and all of the harassment cases against women. Like that hadn't really all come out yet. And also like the marketing around the Gentle Monster glasses was so cool. So at first I thought, oh my God, like it would be so cool to have these just as like the novelty of having them. But then I think when Meta's Kylie Jenner glasses came out and when all their new styles came out, I think that's when the backlash really kicked off. And it shows just how much, I don't know, like how much any kind of Jenner Kardashian person, like how they create so much like conflicting discourse online, because so many people, I think Vogue posted a video of her wearing the Meta glasses and so many people were like commenting saying how much they hated it. And also a lot of people were saying how smart it was from Meta in terms of marketing. And like both perspectives are right, but honestly, like I think the backlash is insane. So I think now I wouldn't wear it because it's really revealed how many issues there are with smart glasses generally. Like, obviously, there's been all the news about women being recorded without their consent and then posted online, but also all the conversation around the Meta glasses has also showed that the big brands, like the big tech brands, haven't fully considered the privacy like things that they have to put in place in order to make these kind of cases not happen. So I think that now it might be Meta or it might be a different smart glasses brand. I think that now if they see content or like they realize content has been created with glasses that have been tampered with, they're able to take it down. But apart from that, we haven't really seen any like legitimate privacy measures being put on these glasses. So now I would say I wouldn't wear them. And yeah, I don't know. It's just so crazy. But would you wear these glasses?
I wouldn't wear them. I mean, I think like even before, like with the Gentle Monster ones, which actually, as a side note, like I actually hadn't even heard of this as a concept until the Meta glasses. I didn't even know. I knew it was like a thing because I've seen TikTok videos of people doing stuff wearing like recording glasses, but in my mind I just imagined they had like a sort of clip-on camera on the top of their glasses. I didn't realize the technology existed because it's like feels like a James Bond thing. So it literally wasn't until the Meta glasses that I knew it was a thing. And no, I wouldn't wear them. They actually really like weird me out. I think
it's so funny you say that because I honestly don't think a lot of people did know about smart glasses until this, even though they've been around for ages. Like they've been around for literally over 10 years, but they've always been reserved for like early adopter tech enthusiasts who are into these kind of gadgets. But only in like the past couple of months have smart glasses really entered like mainstream pop culture in a way, which is really crazy. But you still wouldn't wear them, do you think?
No, I wouldn't wear them. I don't really see why I would wear them. Like, there's not really any reason why. And I think that I was thinking about it a lot, and I was actually writing a sort of like short video script about it, about the fact that like people are starting to want them not because of the fact that they record, but because of the fact that they're stylish. And it kind of shifts from being like about, oh, fun, tech, exciting, to being like, I have these Meta glasses, even if they're not being used or switched on. It's like the signal of being able to like wear them and have them, and then being like a fashion object. And I think that's interesting. I also think that's scary because it means that more people are wearing them and also not considering, I guess, the level of surveillance that they're taking part in.
Yeah, and that's why like all of the news and conversation around smart glasses is so interesting at the moment, because even like going back to the Gentle Monster example, it's pretty safe to say that Google probably chose very strategically to partner with Gentle Monster because they're a very aesthetic Gen Z eyewear brand. So it's the first time that smart glasses have been kind of positioned and marketed in this way. And so many really like cool fashion people wear Gentle Monster, and they might not think about the surveillance or privacy implications of tech glasses. They might just see that they're a cool aesthetic and then jump on the hype, and therefore more people will jump on the hype. And then it's the same with Kylie Jenner, like creating her own smart glasses and endorsing them. It's a very strategic move from Meta to like appeal to a fashion audience and to appeal to a young Gen Z style conscious audience. And that's like the interesting part that's playing out right now. Like, will it work? Like, will fashion people or just style conscious people or just younger people generally adopt smart glasses because they now look cool? Like, they don't look like an old tech gadget that would be for like some middle-aged man. They look like they could be for someone really young, really cool, walking down the street. And I honestly do think a lot of people will do that, which is really, really crazy.
I think a lot of people will. What I'm finding interesting is I've seen a few like posts about shops and like restaurants that are banning them. So like have a sign on the door that says no like recording glasses, no Meta glasses allowed to be worn in here. So I think it'll be interesting to see how public spaces respond to it as well, because also they're not really that noticeable. So you could, I guess, wear them all the time. I'm trying to think about anything that in our lifetime has been really controversial tech-wise whilst we're growing up that then became like pretty normal and we do all the time. I guess like when Snapchat first became a thing, I remember being warned not to use it and like told it was just for sending nudes, and that became pretty normal. Or even maybe like
or even
Tinder.
just like the smartphone, or like, but even though that I suppose is different because it was massively adopted like straight away, like an iPhone. So I don't know if there was something like this, because I suppose we still grew up when webcams were already a thing. Like, even if they weren't built in to a laptop, they were already existing by the time we were using the internet. So I don't know. But did you say something else and then I interrupted you? What was the last thing?
I said Tinder. That was the only thing I could think of as like an example, even though it's an app, not a piece of technology. Because the only thing that I can think of in my lifetime that's been a massive shift in culture, and it's like based on technology, because that was the change from like offline dating to like the mass migration to online dating. Right.
Yeah, and I suppose like at first when Tinder came around, there was still a bit of a negative connotation about it. Like, I remember years ago, like 10 years ago, people were kind of embarrassed to be using it, but now like everyone's on a dating app if they're single. So I suppose that is probably the only thing that I can think of as well that like compares to it.
Yeah.
But I will say that in terms of this very like futuristic, weird technology, this feels like the first thing, unless it was maybe drones, like drones for deliveries and stuff like that.
Drones are a good one, yeah.
Yeah, but then they also don't feel kind of massively adopted yet. Like, I remember when people first started talking about them, it felt like they were going to be everywhere, like flying around, and that's not really happened. So I do think that smart glasses are like the first example of
What
this.
about, do you remember Swegways? What are they?
Oh, yeah, like those things you ride on.
Those were quite, yeah, those things you ride on. Those were quite largely adopted. I remember my brother had one, a few of my friends had one, and people would like ride them around London all the time. And I thought that was going to be, like, I thought that was the first step into like levitating cars, you know? Like that's like, but I guess it doesn't have the surveillance aspect. All of these things, like, they don't have like the fear of, they don't carry fear with them. It's the first time.
They're all a bit more novel, or they have a very practical like business use case. Like, thinking about the drones, you could imagine Amazon like delivering everything via a drone. Like, it doesn't impact our day-to-day behavior. But honestly, I will say, as much as I don't want this to happen, I could see smart glasses actually now becoming just like a phone. Like maybe when we're a bit older, or even in like 5 years, we'll be like, oh, remember when no one used smart glasses, and now it's just a part of our life. Like, I do think just because of now they've really entered mainstream conversations, I think that is a potential, which is really, really scary, actually.
Yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily against smart glasses as like an object. It's the recording aspect, like the photography, filming. That's the aspect I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with like, oh, cool, you can like hear a different language and it translates for you, or like I don't know what else it does other than that. But like those kind of things, I think that is actually cool and quite useful. But like I don't really understand what the day-to-day use of recording is. Like I just don't really get that.
Well, again, I think it's kind of, this is like my very surface level knowledge, but I do think with like Meta and like Snap glasses and Google smart glasses, I think they need the camera in order to do certain functions. But then as well as recording and as well as like capturing stuff, I believe it's like a way that it has all of its capabilities. But there was one brand that I think Vogue mentioned that's called Even Realities, and they have apparently all of the functionalities that like Meta glasses have, but they don't use a camera. They use like a different kind of screen which they overlay, but there's no camera. It's only an audio capturing that they can do. But do you think, like, say if smart glasses could only capture audio, do you think that you would also be concerned about the privacy of these, or would you be more inclined to use them without the camera?
I think I'd be more inclined to use them. I don't think overall I'm like the target audience at all. So I think like it's not for me, but I think I'd be more inclined to like give it a go for fun, because I remember when VR goggles were a thing, I like gave those a go for fun and it was fun. But I don't think I'll ever be rocking a pair of like AI glasses, whatever you want to call them. But I don't know, I guess like maybe in 10 years, as you said, it might become normal. And I think there is something to be said about not being left behind when technology advances, because it's such a big pillar of society that like I adore my grandma to pieces, but like she struggles so much with tech, and I think that she finds that pretty disconnecting as just like being a person in the world now. Like she doesn't even do online banking or anything, so she has to go to the physical bank, and then the physical bank closed down, and just things like that. So I think if you don't move with technology to a certain point, you do just get left behind. So I guess we have to evolve a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's such a, even with AI, like obviously everyone, like the connotation around AI right now is so bad, and I agree with all of the reasons for that, but you do have to, like, burying your head in the sand about it also isn't the right approach either. So I think it's good to remember stuff like that.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about, as I mentioned at the beginning, like how iPods as hair clips, and like how bringing more like old digital tech into styling kind of made way for Meta glasses to be considered like a fashion choice. I wondered if you had any thoughts on that, because I know you've covered like sort of tech accessories quite a lot.
Yeah, so I actually think it started kind of at the start of the year / the end of 2025. And I actually think you made a video about it called, like, maybe it was something about cute tech, but it was the move to brands like creating tech pieces that look like retro tech to try and get consumers on board and to create a more positive feeling around tech objects. And I think that's so true, and I think we're only going to see more and more of that from tech brands. But I do think, kind of in parallel to this, and in parallel to tech brands doing this, we've also seen the rise of analog, which obviously you know a lot about, and you did that amazing video on it. But I think it's all tying into that, like the move towards craving analog activities, the move towards craving like retro tech and what they represent. I think that triggered more people discovering the aesthetic of retro tech objects and then becoming interested in it. And then in a way it was just a natural next step that people would start accessorizing with retro tech objects. Because I remember there was a time where I think I'd only seen like one picture of someone using like an iPod Nano hair clip. Now there are so many pictures of it. And honestly, I just think it is a bit of a trendy aesthetic based off the analog movement. And I think that's also the case with wired headphones. Like, again, they were a kind of analog aesthetic trend, and now people are really into it. And it's really interesting because I've only just noticed like more retro tech beauty pieces crop up. I actually want to do like a video on this, but I've noticed some people create like a lipstick that's also a tech gadget, like inspired by Totally Spies stuff, which is really cool, but obviously really nostalgic. And I've also seen things like a Tamagotchi makeup collab. So it's all this nostalgia, I think, for analog things, and that's causing people to just be into the retro tech aesthetic. I just wonder like how long it will last. Like, is this just an aesthetic micro trend, or is it going to be something that stays? Like, I would love to, like, what do you think about that?
I think it's really interesting because it is such a hyper-specific aesthetic, and also I don't know how much it's been named as like a trend, which is weird, I guess, because I feel like we're so into like naming everything, but like I haven't seen anyone specifically giving this like a label. I do think that it's going to keep going. I feel like it's only going to get bigger, but I don't think it's going to last for like years and years. I reckon like this time next year we'll be seeing like the peak of it going back down again, because there's even like Addison Rae for her, like she has, what's that song, Put Your Headphones On, and it's like her putting her little wired headphones on. And I think that maybe tech in fashion hit the fashion industry hard like this year, but that means it will hit mainstream culture next year. So I don't think we're gonna see its peak just yet, because even people making cyber decks and stuff like that, it's more of the same kind of thing. I think it's exciting. I quite like it. Also, it's a good way to recycle old tech.
Yeah, no, I also really like it, and I think it's so cool, and I think it's, yeah, with the cyberdeck trend specifically, I think it's so nice that people can find like a niche crafty hobby within this movement. But equally, I also think that because it's so aesthetic, like because cyberdecks are so aesthetic, and because using retro hair, retro tech as accessories is so aesthetic, like I think Simone Rocha or some designer used like a something you plug into a computer, I'm now forgetting the name, like a memory stick as a hair clip. I think it's such an aesthetic thing, and I think because of that it can get a lot of attention on social media, it can get a lot of likes and everything like that. So I do worry that it is a bit of a trending content piece, and it's the same with cyberdecks, and I wonder if people are doing it because they know they're going to get attention, and if it is, I think then it's very safe to say it will just be a trend. But it would also be interesting to see if in a year, like you said, like fast fashion brands like H&M or Primark start doing clips that are iPods or something. Like that would be kind of crazy.
That would be crazy. I would kind of love to see if that happens. Yeah, I do think it's a really fun aesthetic. I also think that paired with like all the neon colours and like sort of we are going back to like Tumblr, I guess, even more than we were before. So it makes sense that it's happening. It's also interesting because, as you said, like it is retro tech. Is that the word? Yeah. And yeah. I think that's funny because at the beginning of the year, like I said in my video, analog was like the vibe. So it's interesting seeing how we've developed past that in a way. Like no one's talking about journaling as much anymore. Everyone's talking about cyberdecks. It's like the next step in the evolution of being like offline, but I guess realizing it's impossible to actually be offline in modern society, and so finding a way to like be online but in a more controlled way. And I guess the cyberdeck gives you that power.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so interesting that it is such an obvious example when you think about it of how trends reflect the zeitgeist and what people are thinking. Like everyone's craving something physical, something nostalgic, and like a cyber deck, or like creating something that reminds you of like a cartoon that you watch, like Totally Spies, and like bringing that to life. Like it is so reflective of the current zeitgeist mood, which is so crazy.
Yeah, but I think that in a way, that video that I made at the beginning of the year, not that specific video, I'm not saying I did this, I didn't do this, but like that concept of like analog tech and everything is what opened the door for normalization of like surveillance in fashion, I think. People getting more comfortable with the idea of tech being blended with fashion, and it like being like a fun addition to an outfit. Like you've got like your cute outfit and then you've got your headphones. And I don't think, or at least I haven't really thought about my phone or my like tech accessories as a relevant aspect to my outfit. I mean, even I guess like there's a bow on my mic, like I guess it's that kind of thing. You're beautifying it. It's not just an object of utility anymore.
Yeah, I do think beyond the trend, like beyond the obvious examples of a hair clip, a hair clip that looks like an iPod, or something that's a very obvious retro tech inspired accessory. I think beyond that, I think the lasting part of all of this will be exactly what you were saying, like more aesthetic tech. And I do think this shows that we are like moving into the future now, because we always have our phone on us. Like it is literally an extension of our arm in a way. Like my phone is always in my hand, as much as I wish it wasn't. Like it literally is. And equally, like I always have my headphones. I'm always using them if I'm walking down the street. Like in a way, it is the start of tech becoming like a more permanent part of us, and like us caring about the aesthetics of it, because it is always on us. And that is really crazy. And I do think that will last. Like I care way more about what my phone looks like. I want it to match with my outfit. And I feel like we're starting to see that with different brands that are propping up, like Nothing, which is like the best example of just creating really aesthetic technology that is for people who really care about self-expression and how they look aesthetically. So I do think that part is definitely going to stay. But do you think you're caring more and more about, your tech objects and how they look?
I definitely am, but I also wonder if that's because I'm like, this is the height of my tech knowledge in my life. Like, I think because doing videos, things like this, social media, I am having to be aware of like mics, audio, video, like editing softwares. I can barely leave the house now without having to have my laptop with me, because I almost always have to do something at some point. I guess that's freelance life in a way, but tech is way more integrated into my day-to-day life than it has ever been before. So I do care about it. Saying that, my phone is like disgusting. My phone case is so manky. But I have started doing things like putting stickers on the back of my laptop, things like that, like making it more personalised. Whereas when I first got it, I was like, it's going to be sleek, it's going to be simple. So I guess I am leaning more into like the personalisation stuff, and also less into just like having everything black or like space grey. Like if there was the option for, there might be now, but if there's the option for like a hot pink phone, I would go for it.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's kind of a merge of a load of different trends. Like I feel like generally we've moved away from minimalism, and like with the bag charm trend and like all of these different things, I think it's kind of a combination of we always have our tech objects on us, plus now the mindset of people love charms, people love accessorizing, it's a fun trend to participate in. I think that those two things married together has kind of created this new trend of people wanting to accessorize their tech objects. And I would say that's kind of a more fun future to like speculate on. Like it's way cooler if like our tech objects are personalized and they're not all homogenized and gray and black, like you said. Like it's way more fun if they are colorful and full of personality, but hopefully it will last.
I also think it's like a nice way to look at the future than thinking of it as moving into a world just like full of surveillance, because I do think that for the most part, like, I don't think that like Meta glasses are going to catch on. Like, I think that I think other things like that will, but I think overall they won't. Maybe for content creators and things, but in day-to-day life, I can't see any reason other than like being a pervert that you need to wear.
No, I know. It's funny you say that because I actually saw really interestingly that Tokyo Fashion Week has partnered with Meta to create all of the backstage content. And at first I thought, oh, that's a really good idea because it's like a new cool way to create content and a new perspective that will really show like what it's like to be there, like a first person's perspective. But then the second thought I had was, if you're like a person backstage or a model backstage and you're like getting dressed at a fashion show, what if someone's wearing smart glasses and you're being recorded and you don't know? And I honestly think that now that is the mindset that most people will have. Like, there's been so much backlash and there's been so many cases of smart glasses being used in a bad way and like filming people without their consent, that I feel like their reputation has got so bad that they almost can't reach mass adoption, at least not like right now in this moment, like until tech brands do create a way to really make us believe that they are safe in a way. Yeah. So I completely agree. Like, it's almost like I think so much would have to change in order for them to be mass adopted.
Yeah, I agree. Because also, I was just thinking about times where I've been like mic'd up on a shoot or something like that, and then I've like totally forgotten I've got a mic on me, gone to the toilet, and then come back and been like, oh my God, and the sound guy's been like, yeah.
That's so crazy. Oh my gosh.
Because I just forget that, like, I forgot I had my like full mic on. He said it happens all the time, so it like isn't really a big deal and he barely notices, but it was so embarrassing. And I'm imagining having, because I wear glasses anyway, imagining having recording glasses on, going to the toilet and like streaming it to like thousands of people. I think the margin for error is crazy.
Like yeah, exactly. Those kind of examples are so inevitable. Like, so much stuff like that would happen because it's just human nature. Like, you do forget. And I think there's that story, I can't remember where it was, but like there was the story of someone going to get a bikini wax and then they noticed that the person doing the bikini wax was wearing smart glasses and apparently they weren't on, but it's just crazy. Like, what if people were forgetting they were wearing them and then doing something? Or, yeah, you just would never know if you were truly being recorded or not.
Yeah, and human error is a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to make a mistake like that and then, like, really ruin someone or your own life by accident.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think of that. Like, I've only been thinking about the people being recorded, but what if you did accidentally record someone and you didn't even realize and then no one believed you? Like, that's also equally as bad.
Yeah. I really want to ask what you think about the fact that this is like the first step into us like becoming cyborgs. I know that sounds crazy, but like, or like Mad Max style people. Like, do you think this is the first step and then in like 50 years we're going to be like fully, especially because like there's aura rings, things like that, do you reckon we're going to be like fully modded?
Honestly, there's a part of me that is so into like futurism and like transhumanism and like speculating on like one day will we merge with technology or like merge with AI and like will that be the future? But then when I think about it more, it is kind of terrifying and I kind of don't want that because it feels like it's going against, I don't know, it feels like it's kind of anti-nature and anti like the natural world, and that seems scary and sad. But then equally, like, I do believe that this is a step into that, but it's not going to be as futuristic and like sci-fi as we may think. I think it's more that it is inevitable that wearable technology and like health tracking and like all these things are going to become more and more built into us and like into our tech, and it's going to be a bit more like permanently on our body and like in our clothes. Because if you think about how much like people are into tracking their health and how much like that kind of health and well-being industry is evolving, it feels inevitable that people are only going to get more and more extreme with biohacking and like tracking all their levels. So I do think it is the first step into that. Like I really do. And some people, it's a bit like using like an Alexa or something like that. Like people really adopt that really quickly and they really use it to improve their lives. So I think a lot of people would just get on board with wearing something permanently if they felt it was improving their life a lot. And maybe that's the kind of thing that needs to happen with smart glasses to get people to really adopt it. But do you think that this is the first step into that?
I kind of think it is, and it's kind of scary, but I also do see positive sides to it. Like I track my cycle, like I guess I don't use an Oura ring, but I use like tech to do that. And I would get an Oura ring specifically for that. But like I think there has to be a fine line because it does feel like a rejection of nature, and I think especially now with like all the AI data, what are they called, data centers being built, that's really scary. Like it doesn't seem like there's a future where we can have both. I think it's almost like a point of right now humans kind of have to choose what's like gonna happen in the next 50 years, and I am not a fan of AI data centers.
No, they're so scary. I saw that you shared a story about a data center in Brick Lane. Like I didn't really see that, but
it's
what
crazy.
was it about?
The local council all voted against having it put there, and then the like company went above them to the government and had it like rush approved by the government, even though local councils, like local people, nobody wants it there. And I think that's really scary. I guess that's a really important point to raise, which is just like the people who do run tech have so much money that they kind of bypass other people's choices. That doesn't feel like the right way of saying it, but they have so much power that they govern themselves, and that's really dangerous and scary.
Yeah, it does feel like it's at the top of everything, which it is scary. But then it's kind of going back to what you said before. It's like in that way, you have to be educated about it to know fully like how it's going to impact you and know what you can do like on an individual level to try and protect yourself, I suppose, as much as you possibly can. Like only by all of the Meta Glasses talk have I truly learned about like surveillance concerns. Like I never really thought about it before, but it's like opened my eyes to how concerning and like real that is. So in a way, I'm glad I know about it. Not that I could go as extreme of like wearing anti-surveillance clothing and stuff like that, or like not right now, but it's just good to know. And I think maybe it's the same with AI data centers as well, just like knowing about it, and then you kind of go from there. Like that's the only thing to do, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing. On the topic of that, I'm going to link in the description, there's like a petition you can sign which says you don't want to be filmed by you don't want to be filmed by Meta Glasses or whatever. You remove your permission from being used in them. So then if there's any content ever of you being recorded, you can say like it's illegal, I guess. But I'll
that's so good. Yeah, I'm gonna sign up to that.
So you can like opt out of it, which I think is quite cool, but also terrible that you have to opt out and you can't just like not do it. You should have to opt in, whatever. I think that's kind of all that we have time for. The final question that I always ask everyone is, what are you rabbit holing at the moment? What are you obsessed with?
Funnily enough, like this week I'm doing a video, or I'm planning to maybe do a video this week or next week about like the new beauty tech gadget space. So that's really what I'm like looking into. It's so niche and it so like fits what we've been talking about. But I'm currently like looking at like I think it's called like Ondine or something, but it's a Chinese beauty brand that collaborated with Tamagotchi and created all these like novel makeup pieces. But I'm currently like trying to decide the angle and like whether I think it's like so unsustainable because all of these things are so plasticky, or whether I think it's really cool. So that's what I'm like currently rabbit holing.
I think that's like simultaneously probably really unsustainable but also really cool.
I know.
I feel like that's the nature of so many things. Like, it's so cool, but also so bad for the planet. And the final thing is, for people who got this far into the episode, I always say you can leave a special emoji and I'll tell them a secret. So what emoji should everybody leave?
Oh my gosh. Maybe just like the blue heart. I don't know if that, I know like younger people like all have meanings for everything. I don't know if that means anything, but I just really like the light blue heart.
Okay, leave the light blue heart, guys, and I'll tell you a secret. That made me feel so old, you saying young people, the hearts of me.
Younger people.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was so fun.
And what's your Instagram, Substack? What are all of those? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram for What's Fashion Technology is literally just What's Fashion Technology, all one word. And so is my Substack. But then my YouTube is just grace.robinson. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening or watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as Grace said, if you did get this far, don't forget to leave a blue heart emoji and I will tell you a secret or a fact, or maybe if I'm feeling brave, something really salacious. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe and send it to a friend because it does wonders for me and the podcast.